My name is Lasisi Ahmed Akorede from Lagos State Fire and Rescue Services, Oniru Fire Station, Lekki. We are here this morning to teach ourselves or to tell us what we can do in case of fire, first aid, firefighting equipment. Fire is our friend, yes or no? Yeah, I believe most people will say it's not our friend, but fire is our friend. When it gets out of hands, it turns to our enemy. But when we have what to use, we know what to do at the appropriate time. The fire will have been put off before the arrival of fire service. There's no way you can run away from fire because when you want to cook, you make use of what? Fire. As we are enjoying our AC now, we are making use of fire directly or indirectly. That's why we say fire is our friend. It's an obedient servant and a wicked master. I would like us to use a slogan. If I say fire safety, you say it's our responsibility. Fire safety? Fire safety? Because your responsibility is there's a fire. You have all what it takes to put off the fire so that the fire will not be able to do what? Put off life, take property and building. It only takes an intruder to come into this building to take one little thing or the other. But for an intruder or deterrent to come into this building, you have all your security gadgets and you have your security men and you have your CCTV camera, which can be traced in case of any damages. But fire can never be traced because when fire is coming, it will never tell anybody. And when fire comes, it takes lives, it takes property, it takes building. That's why we need to be fire safety conscious time to time. I would like to take us to this slide to learn one or two things in case of fire. Fire emergency, fire outbreak in our society is quite alarming and has become a subject of concern to the populace. Our society have witnessed quite a number of inferno involving vehicle building with heavy casualties. This situation has generated a lot of reaction from different people as to how to menace of fire can be averted or be reduced to the barest minimum. For dangers to occur, all it requires is one of the elements of combustion, which can also be determined as the secret of three elements that will be treated during the courses of this workshop, which is heat. Since the other two is available in large quantities in our environment or scene, therefore I implore you to be attentive as we examine this topic. Fire itself, fire emergency procedure, fire prevention, first aid firefighting equipment, among others. What is fire? Fire is a visible smoke and a flame normally seen often either in an expanding way or a small light in our kitchen. What we are trying to say in this time is that there are three things that causes fire, which we call triangle of combustion. What does this mean? Because there are three things that causes fire, which is heat, fuel, and oxygen. As we all know, triangle has three shapes. Without this thing, there's no way fire could be able to come. And we say, what is fire? It's a rapid chemical reaction between two or more combustible substances, resulting in the production of heat and fuel, oxygen, reacting simultaneously. This is being represented by a triangle of combustion. It really shows that without these three things, fire can never occur. Fuel. If I'm talking about fuel, I'm not talking only about petrol, kerosene, or diesel. Anything that can burn. It can come in a solid way, it can come in a gaseous way, and it can come in a liquid way. Anything that can burn is called fuel. The only thing that is not fuel is water. Is anything that can burn either in a solid way, liquid, or gas, e.g. paper, wood, petrol product. Oxygen is the 21% of the free air in the presence of everywhere. We are here now enjoying the AC. In case there's a fire now, and there's a heat and there's a fuel, these are three triangles of combustion. Without the presence of oxygen, there may not be fire. It can be simply be described in the form of energy, which is divided by rising in temperature. Common source of it include lighting energy, electricity, frictional energy, grinding, cutting, and metal, solar energy, fire extinction method. I said there are three things that causes fire, which I've already mentioned: heat, fuel, and oxygen. And for this triangle of combustion to be broken, that's bringing us to fire extinction method. The existing fire of combustion, which is simplified needed, is to take such steps as are necessary to collapse the triangle. This is when one of these elements is removed, then the fire will be out. Method of extinction. The following methods are used to extinguish fire: cooling, starvation, and smoothing. Cooling is good what? Cooling is good with heat. The uses of water to cut away the heat This is water may be in the form of a spray or jet dilute solution with either chemical. Water reduces the temperature of the burning material to below the initial. Even though when the body temperature is 8, we can experience that the temperature everywhere is 8 now. And when your body is 8, what do you need? You say, can I go to somewhere to get some fresh air or to get some AC, or should go into the bathroom to put up some water in my body so that you'll be able to do what? Reduce the temperature, reduce the heat. That's why we say cooling go to what? Is go to its heat. Starvation or isolation. This is act of removing the burnable material from each other, which go with what? Fuel. And I told you fuel can come in a solid way, can come in a liquid way, and can come in a gaseous way. And fuel, anything that can burn with cold fuel, is only under a petrol. Let me give you an example. Maybe there's a car now. I'm a car standing there. I'm burning, and there's a car that is very close to me. You know, the heat attraction of the car that is burning will easily attract the one that is very close to it. But if there's been starvated, maybe there's one car here and there's another one at the very close, very distant, the heat radiation will not be easy for the one that is burning here to attract the other one. That brings us to what? Good housekeeping. What is good housekeeping? Good housekeeping is the way we arrange the materials and electrical appliances in our building. For example, the almost fire we acquire in Lagos is caused by electrical surge. Maybe you can see the AC is standing over there. The woman is standing under the AC. The AC is burning. If there's a fire during this electrical course, maybe there's a fire in the AC. If there's any substances or any material or any fuel under the AC, if the AC burns, it will fall under the materials. If it fall under the material, the heat radiation will go, it will be spreading. But if there's a way everything is being starvated, if there's a general good housekeeping in the building, whereby there's no any materials, there's no any fuel, there's no any substances under the AC will burn and it will do what? It will die there, whereby there's not going to be anything it will attract itself with. Smoothing, beating of the uses of foam to cut away air of oxygen is a little example. You know, if you light up a candle, you put your candle on a protected plate, light it up with a matches or a lighter. Gradually, the candle will be burning. If you get a white glass cup, cover the candle between the little seconds, the candle will do what? The candle will off because there's no presence of oxygen. Do we notice sometimes when we are cooking in the kitchen, maybe you want to fry our fish or our dodo, when the oil is already heated, and you add your fish or your dodo or so whatever or your meat in it, sometimes fire comes out from the pot. If you notice, if you want to do that, the best thing you need to do, don't add water to it directly. Because if you add water to hot fire, the next thing is that the fire will rise up. The best thing you need to do, get the cover of the pot or the tray of the pot, cover it up, switch off the burner. The next thing the fire will do, the fire will off because there's no presence of oxygen. What we have done is what? Smothering. I said there are 3 things that causes fire, which is the heat, fuel, and oxygen. And to break the triangle of combustion, we call it triangle of extinction, which goes to cooling, starvation, and smothering. We make use of gas in our home these days. We have the 3 kg, we have the 6 kg, and we have the 12 kg. If you are making use of the 3 kg or the 6 kg, we call it can gas. All these can gas, if you are making use in your kitchen, don't place them directly on the tiles. Because in your kitchen, you have a lot of things. Maybe you want to mop, water falls on the floor, on the tiles. And all this water gets in contact with the cylinder. All these cylinders are iron. Little by little, the cylinder may get corrosive, which you will not be able to know, and there may be a leakage of gas. Place them on interlock or place them on a plank so that the cylinder will not be able to be direct on the floor. And if you are making use of the 12 kg, the best place to keep it is the back of the kitchen, so that in case of an explosion, you can easily go there to off it. And apart from that, sometimes there's a leakage in this gas whereby what we use in cooking it, the toner may not be cooked very well. And not everybody smells an odor to know maybe there's a gas leakage in the kitchen. And with this instant, immediately you light up your lighter or your matches in the kitchen. Once the gas gets in the light, there may be an explosion. But if the cylinder is at the back of the kitchen, you'll be able to do what? Save yourself. And apart from that, when there's a fire, what do you need to do? You raise an alarm. How will you raise an alarm? Fire. Not that Mogbe Egbami. Because if you are shouting Mogbe or Egbami, people may be thinking that it's an armed robber if that's the middle of the night. But once they heard it is a fire, people will be able to do what? come to your rescue. And apart from that, maybe you come back from work, you are trying to microwave your food in the microwave, and you are sitting down in the sitting room. Before you know, you slept off. And before you know, you woke up, everywhere has been engulfed by smoke. How will you be able to move from the building? Because it's the smoke that traps people a lot in the building. Once you discover yourself in any situation you have, that's why you need to do what? You need to do our feasibility study, our safety study, no matter where we are entering, maybe in an hotel or in an office, so that you'll be able to locate where their fire exit sign is, so that you'll be able to know that in case of any emergency, how will I be able to escape myself from the building? In case of any emergency now, I'm a stranger here, but I believe people are working here some years and some months. So in case of any emergency, even though you close your eyes, you will be able to do what? Escape yourself from this building. Even though the sitting room or the bedroom you are living, the house you are living, in case of any emergency, even though you close your eye, you will be able to do what? Leave the building. So if you find yourself in a situation, maybe you are cooking in the kitchen and there's a smoke that has been engulfed everywhere. Maybe you are in your sitting room or you are in your bedroom. The next thing you need to do if you find yourself in that situation, you'll be able to do what? You lie down. How will you lie down? You lie down flat, because smoke travels from 3 feet upward. Under it, you'll be able to do what? Inhale an oxygen. Then what will you do? You need to crawl. Where are you crawling to? To an exit. In each building, you must have a 2 exit. Maybe from the entrance that gets into your sitting room or from your kitchen outside. From there, you'll be able to crawl. Where are you crawling to? As I said, you are trying to escape yourself from the building. And when you are crawling, you know, when you close your eyes, you will be able to do what? You will be able to leave the building. And when you are crawling, you surge your hand by the back of your hand. Because in the building, we have 2 types of electrical installation. Some are conduits, whereby some are soffit. What did I mean by conduit? You could see that the electrical socket, there's no any wire in the surface of the wall, whereby some building, you will see the wire at the surface of the wall. So that in case of any emergency, there may be a peel in the wire so that the person will not be electrocuted. And as you are moving out, you surge by the back of your hand, so that in case of maybe there's a table, there's a debris, there's anything, you can use your hand to spray it. So eventually, if your hand touches the wire, because the back of the hand repel, the front of the hand attract, so that the person will not be electrocuted. And then you move what? You move closer to the door. And when you are getting to the door to move up, you close your nose so that you'll not be able to inhale the smoke, and you open the door. Immediately you open the door and you close it back, because if you open the door down, because there are 2 things that are already present in the building, the heat and the fuel have already been presented, and there's no oxygen. If you open the door down, the oxygen will trace the base of the fire, hereby there's going to be a naked fire. And apart from that, our all non-layman is that when there's a fire, we need to put what? We need to put water, get our detergent, so that we can use it to do what? Put off the fire. But let me tell you, not all fire we can make use of water, because water is a very good conductor of an electricity. Assuming there's a fire in this building now, you know, maybe we are using gen or NEPA, and you cannot make use of water because the water is going to cause an electrical shock. But our layman is that when there's a fire, get a water, get a detergent, and use it to put off. In case of any electrical fire, do not use water. Am I communicating? Yes. Do not use water. And apart from that, you know, in our building, where our meter board is, we have 3 things that is there. We have the NEPA, we have the generator, and we have neutral. In case in the building, and you don't have fire extinguisher, you don't have anything to make use of, and the only thing you need to use is water, go to where your meter board is. Note this, if you are on NEPA and there's a fire in that building, if you are on NEPA, go to where your meter board is and change it to generator, because your generator is not automatic, which can start itself immediately. Then you can use any source of water. But if you are on generator, when such things happen, do not put it on NEPA, put it on neutral, because if you put it on NEPA, NEPA may bring light during this processing. You understand? You put it on NEPA and you can make use of any source of water supply. Next slide, please. Fire are classified into 6 major groups, namely, for easy identification appropriate extinguisher agent, the British Standard Specification BSAN of 1972 classified fire into 4 major groups. But lately, due to what happened in USA in September 11, 2022, and the fire at Heathrow Airport in 2025, two more groups of fire has been added, Class A fire. These are fire involving free burning material in which water is used as extinguishing medium, e.g. wood, paper, and grasses. Class B fire, these are fire involving flammable liquid, in which foam dry chemical powder CO2 form the extinguishing medium, e.g. petrol, kerosene, and diesel. Class C fire. These are fire involving gas or gaseous liquid in which CO2 dry chemical powder form the extinguishing medium, e.g. methane, and propane. Class D fire. These are fire involving metal and alloy in which dry chemical powder form the extinguishing medium, e.g. alloy, silver, zinc, or gold. Class E fire. These are fire involving electron and live electrical equipment from the substation or national grid, e.g. live copper wire substation which are not been isolated by energy and power board before firefighting is taking place. Class F or Class K fire. These are fire involving large kitchen like the airport and oil company where special frying with fat oil take place. Fire prevention. The added prevention is better than cure. In fire service context, it is minimization of fire occurrence. In any locality, even where fire has started, either by omission or commission, a person should be able to take good guide action that will prevent the spread where necessary, coupled with the ability to contain the fire by having a proper right manpower and equipment to cope with the situation. When you discover a fire in a place, as I told you what, you raise an alarm, fire, 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 so that people will be able to do what? Come to your rescue. When I was in Ejibu fire station, that was in the Kotun, we went to Okeafa. If people are familiar with that area, there's a woman, we went to his house when there's a fire around 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning. When we got there, we met the woman. The woman is crying with his baby boy. We now asked, because we are trying to ask some information. We said, what happened? He said the candle that they are using to pray, the candle fell down. And her mom is in, what is it called? Is in emotion, whereby she will not be able to control herself. Immediately she discovered that she shook her mom and she told her mom that there's a fire. Her mom said she should not be able to do what? Call people, that it is the work of God that is controlling. But the boy is very mature, seeing that the fire is getting out of hand. He runs out to call their neighbor because they will be able to help him. If not because of the boy, the mother would have what? Wonder would have died. Forget about the Allah, forget about the Shango, forget about the Oluba. The fire will come, it will take life and it will take property. It will not even inform you. You could be able to know the fire that happened like 3 days or 4 days ago in Lagos Island. Fire burns every day. It's an obedient servant and a wicked master. Which fire comes, it will take life and it will take property. In this building now, when there's a fire, how will you be able to know? Unless you have your fire alarm and your smoke detector, which will be able to work. It will be able to sound and it will tell you there's a fire somewhere. If a fire happens in a building and the fire comes, the best thing you need to do, you call the fire service. As we are sitting down here, if I should be able to ask any one of us, did you have any fire service number with us? I will say no. Okay, apart from that, do you have any emergency number with us? That by then, you'll be hearing 1374, 2229, 119, 177, 323. You understand? Safety is the act of being safe, protected from injury and disability, whereby accident is an unplanned event which can happen at any time. We need to have some number with us, which are very, very important. Even though you don't have a fire service number that is very close to you, where you are living, I'm still coming to that. You can call 767 or 112. If you are calling 767 or 112, it's going to take you a long time, but it's better for you to call 767 or 112 rather than to let the life or the property of some people got burned. When you are calling, you hear, welcome to Lagos Emergency Service. How may we help you? Is it an accident? Is it a fire? Is it a riot? But in this processing, it's going to take us a long time. But we have a fire service number that is very close to you, where you are living. Know where you are living in Lagos State, whereby there's no fire service. You can easily help a lot. You can easily help a neighbor. You can easily save a life. In Lagos State, we put off a lot of fire every day, most especially in Lekki, because everybody wants to enjoy his or her life. Let me give you a story. Security is very, very important, whereby safety is the most important thing. They say safety first. A man that bought a land in Banana Island of 300 or 400 million, he rent a structure of 700 or 500 million in it, and there's a fire. He or she is blaming fire service for coming late. Him to blame. In the building, there's a security, there's a CCTV, a lot of security gadgets, whereby there's no fire extinguisher, no fire alarm, no fire hydrant. Whom to blame? Fire service or the owner of the house. You don't blame fire service for everything. It says, heaven help those who help themselves. Next slide. To minimize fire outbreak, the appropriate preventive measure recommended below should be followed. Ensure proper storage of petrol products. In your generator's house, you notice that some people keep their jerrycan, their tanks, their drums in there. No, these are wrong. Because in the generator produces it itself. The jerrycan, the petrol, the diesel you are keeping in there is a flammable something. And there's an oxygen that is coming from the exhaust, which is it. In case of any emergency, these three things will work together and fire will come. In our generator house, we have a lot of spillage in the diesel, in the floor. What will you need to do about that? You get a fire bucket, you get a sand, place this on it. After some minutes, you go there and sweep it off so that in case of fire, it will be easy for us to control. Maintain a good housekeeping in home, office, generator house, and production factory. Switch off all electrical appliances at the close of work. I can see that when I was coming up, switch off all electrical appliances at the close of work. That is a good idea. Not to fuel your vehicle while the engine is running. That's why when you get to the filling station, you switch off your engine. But most of us now, because Netflix has come, or Showmax has come, we want to enjoy all series of the film and we don't want to lose any part. Forget about the jagu. Forget about the anikulapo. You need to save your life first. Some people, when their generator is working and they are watching an interesting movie, what they will do when they notice that the generator is fluctuating, that the generator is about to finish in the generator, you hear, go and have the petrol when the generator is working. All these things are not good. Almost 90% of all do these things. But when it comes, if the degree is not much, that one will be able to survive. But if the heat degree or the burning is coming to like 80 or 90, that's when you know that Jesus or Allah is not playing with anybody. Please, let's be fire safety conscious. Do not fuel your vehicle while the engine is running. Do not overload the electrical point of socket. We do this thing in our home. Where our extension is, that's when we plug our stabilizer, we plug our phone, we plug our fridge, and we plug our TV. All these extensions that you are seeing, they have a voltage. They have the maximum and the capacity of the voltage they can acquire. Have you noticed this extension sometimes? Maybe you are ironing your cloth on this extension that you are seeing. Sometimes it's got it. And you mistakenly leave it. Maybe you are receiving a call. Before you come back, fire will do what? Fire will come. So overloading of electrical socket is very bad. Keep matches lighter out of children's reach. Do not smoke in bed. Electrical equipment, e.g. wiring and fitting, should be designed, installed and maintained in a proper condition by a competent electrician. Ensure proper storage and disposal of waste. Leakage pipe and hose of gas should be checked. Next slide. Common causes of fire outbreak. The common causes of fire outbreak classify into 4 major groups, namely carelessness, accident, natural, and arson. Next slide. Carelessness. Carelessness can be attributed to smoking in bed, children playing with matches, failure to shut off gas control valve after use, overloading of electrical socket, uncontrolled burning of refuse or butches, quenching fire by uses of petrol or paraffin, carelessness storage of flammable liquid at home, disposal of hot ashes in a wooden box or unsuitable places, lighting of candle without a protected base, fueling a vehicle tank while the engine is running, carelessness discharge of cigarettes, and keeping electrical apparatus in the vicinity of combustible material, accumulation of refuse. Next slide. Accidents. Among 2 common causes in this category are 2 vehicles from opposite direction colliding with each other and resulting fire occurring. It can also be traced to a chemical reaction of elements resulting in the explosion in either confined or exposed situation. It will occur through the disaster in which 2 or more elements combine together and give a corrosive smell or smoking. What are we saying in this sense? Like 2 vehicles coming from different directions collides together, fire can come. This is an accident or planned event. Next slide. Natural causes. Some countries of the world experience excessive hot temperature, and when rain is about to return, the melting of the cool weather and the hot weather produce thunder and lightning, which are known to set the grassland and the plantations on fire. When this type of fire occurs, is said to have natural causes. Example, earthquake. Next slide. Arson. Accident is an intentionally act of setting a place ablaze. For setting the property ablaze, intentionally act of setting a place ablaze is called arson. Next slide. General effect of fire. If fire should happen in place losses of life and property, injury and disability, losses of job, depression and economic drain. First aid firefighting equipment. Portable firefighting equipment, fire extinguisher. Fire can be extinguished through the uses of portable fire extinguisher depending on the material involving in fire. Portable fire extinguisher are handled portably, small and easy to carry to attack fire at the incipient stage before it becomes large. We know when there's a fire, and our normal layman is that we do what? We use water, and not all fire you'll be able to use water for. We have fire extinguishers everywhere. The fire extinguishers we keep in our car is called dry chemical powder. But if you are making use of a car, let me give us the tips of this. You know there are some cars that have been designed at the boot, whereby you can keep your fire extinguisher, you can keep your seat cushion, you can keep your jack, you can keep your first aid box, where it's been designed. Whereby some cars, whereby there's no such place you can keep it. And the dry chemical powder is once used. The best place to keep such fire extinguisher, if your car is not being designated, whereby this place is the same, the best place to keep it is under the driver's seat. So that in case of any emergency, you can easily even hold it. Apart from that, you know we keep a lot of things in our boot, and the dry chemical powder is once used. If the seal removed during the accidental discharge and the safety pins falls out, immediately a little pinch comes out of the fire extinguisher, and you go back there in the next 15 minutes, the fire extinguisher is not going to work. That's why it's always advised to keep your fire extinguisher under the driver's seat. If your boot does not have a place whereby it could be able to be safe, because we keep a lot of things in our boot. You go to work, we go to market, our wife make use of our car, we go to sport gyms, we keep our boot in there. Once the seal removed and the safety pins fall down, a little pinch that comes from the dry chemical powder is not going to work. Classification of fire extinguisher. Fire extinguisher is being classified in different classes, whereby I told you that we have the different classes of fire. All these fire extinguisher work for different classes of fire. Water type fire extinguisher for class A fire, that is fire involving free burning material, e.g. paper, wood, grass, and other material that can burn to remain ashes. Class A fire and class water fire extinguisher has been withdrawn from the market presently now, because there's no place now you'll be able to go. Even though the sawmill that deals with wood, they still make use of electrical appliances over there. So that in case of any emergency, someone will not mistakenly go and take water fire extinguisher to put off fire so that the person will not be electrocuted. Foam type fire extinguisher for class B fire, that is fire involving flammable in either liquid or solid form, e.g. petrol, paraffin, diesel, and other flammable that burns and produces instant heat. You know, I told you the other time, our layman idea is that when there's a fire, we get a detergent, we put it inside the water. The reason why is because if there's a fire service comes out now and there's a fire on the road, or there's a tanker or a diesel or a petrol tanker that's drew up on the road and then the spillage of fuel, when fire service got there, the next thing we need to do, we use our foam to blanket it so that there's not going to be a spark or a fire. C, carbon dioxide type fire extinguisher, CO2 for class C fire, that is fire involving gases that from time you cannot apply water because of the chemical reaction that may become toxic. C, dry chemical type fire extinguisher, DCP, for fire involving metal, e.g. metal, aluminum, etc. Fire extinguisher color code. As I was saying, this dry chemical powder fire extinguisher, this is the seal I'm talking about. If the seal should be able to be removed, you could see now, the seal has removed. You understand? And in case of any accidental discharge, if I should be able to press it a little bit, if the powder comes out a little bit, in after 15 minutes, if you go back there, the fire extinguisher is not going to work. And dry chemical powder is the only extinguisher that has gauge. What did I mean by gauge? You could see something like a round air. You can see it. Yes, it has a function and it works in 3 types. If the gauge is false, you can see it's on the green side. If it falls by the left on the red side, that means that the fire extinguisher has been discharged. If it falls on the right side, it's overcharged, it's still okay. But if it's on the green side, it's still very good. But if it has fallen to the left side, under the red side, that means that's discharged. The fire extinguisher should be refilled. And all fire extinguishers must be serviced twice in a year. There are some companies that service their fire extinguisher every 3 months because of what they produce over there. Some companies are hot, the excessive of the heat in that place make them to refill their fire extinguisher in every month. And I will be able to identify your fire extinguisher. There's a label in there that will be able to make you to recognize it. Dry chemical powder, ABC. And there's a label in here that I've shown you when refilled and the next is going to be refilled. And how will you be able to handle your fire extinguisher? When we get to the practical time, I'll be able to tell us that. The under-mentioned color coding system is dictated from the British because of their early nature into the production of fire extinguisher. Hence, the reference of the British system color coding system, as stated below, which is not application in some other countries like Japan, China, and Europe nation. Water CO2 fire extinguishers, red, foam fire extinguisher, yellow, cream, carbon dioxide fire extinguisher, black, dry chemical powder fire extinguisher, blue. They said water CO2 fire extinguisher is red, and I'm having a dry chemical powder here, which is red. You cannot be able to determine the fire extinguisher by the color code, but by the label beside it. By the label beside it. How will you be able to identify your fire extinguisher in case you go to any organization and you are not working there and you want to know the type of fire extinguisher they have in there? The best thing is to recognize it by the label beside it, not by the servicing shaft, but by the label beside it. You will read it, water CO2 fire extinguisher, dry chemical fire extinguisher, or foam fire extinguisher. And the fire extinguisher is something that will be easy for you to operate and hold. When there's a fire, you hold it. Assuming there's a fire in there, maybe the AC, and the fire extinguisher is in the corridor there, or wherever you are, and you heard there's a fire. If you know you don't have the courage to put off the fire, don't go close to where the fire extinguisher is. Am I communicating? But if you have the courage and you know that I'll be able to off this fire, immediately you pick the fire extinguisher and you are very close to where you want to make use of the fire extinguisher, you remove the seal, you remove the safety pin, and you do what? You pull. And there's an acronym in making use of this fire extinguisher. We call it PASS. P-A-S-S. You pull and you press, you remove the safety pin, you aim this base of the fire, you squeeze and you spread. When we get to the practical type, the practical aspect, I will show us that. Next slide. Precautions should be observed as follows. Installation of electrical apparatus and wiring system, safe uses of material and equipment that generate heat or uses of fuel in its operation, handling and storage of high flammable liquid and other combustibles, safe working habits in a place where heat is employed, e.g. welding or where flammable substances are used, e.g. paint and spraying. Next slide. Important fire safety lesson and what to do. You are required to stay away from hot things that can hurt, like boiling water or oil. To tell grown-up children where to find matches and lighter. To roll under the ground if your clothes catches fire and strip the individual naked. Cool the burning substance so far and take to the hospital. Crawl low under the thick of smoke. To recognize the sound of smoke detector or fire alarm. To practice on escape plan evacuation drill. What is evacuation drill? Evacuation drill is the process of letting people to know how people will be able to do when there's a fire in the building. Like, for example, now we are in this building now, I want to perform an evacuation drill so that people will be able to do, how people will be able to perform in case of any emergency. We send the word, we sound the alarm system. We give the minimum time, where people will do, what people will do, where will people go to. In case of any emergency, there's a fire in this building. Where are you running to? You go to your assembly point. And when you get to your assembly point, what are you expected to do? You do what? You do head counting. How do you be able to do head counting? Departmentally. Because you know when you are coming in, you clock in. When you are going out, you clock out. Even though you are going out, so that people will be able to know that you are not in the building. But when you are in the building and you did not clock out and there's a fire, and you are doing departmental count, maybe the accounting department is supposed to be 15 and you are just 5. Maybe the HR department is supposed to be 3 and you are 2. During this processing, so that you'll be able to know, there's nobody is being trapped in the building. So then you'll be able to do what? You'll be able to do your check. And when you are going out in case of any emergency, in a fire, no matter where you are, maybe in a high-rise building or in a skyscraper, whenever you had an alarm, fire, when there's an alarm, do not make use of the lifts. please make use of the stair, because if you make use of the lift, in case of any fire, the building will be able to shut down, and there's no electrical appliances or any electrical apparatus in that building that is going to work. And you are in the lift, what does that mean? You are going to be what? You are going to be trapped. And you do what? You make use of the staircase to do what? In case of any emergency. And when you are going down, in case of any emergency, as you are going, maybe you notice that Mr. A or Mr. B is just somewhere, you understand, around the corner, and you are trying to call. Do not touch Mr. A or Mr. B. Just call Mr. Biodun or Mr. Lati or Mrs. A or Mrs. B. If Mr. A or Mrs. B will not be able to respond, do not touch, because you don't know, maybe Mr. A or Mrs. B has shocked, so that you'll be able to do what? You'll be able to leave the person. And when there's an emergency, you don't need to run. The only thing you need to do, you come down gently. Because if you are running during this processing, you may fall down, so that there's not going to be a stampede. And apart from that, maybe you are in this bed, you are in the toilet, and you discover there's a fire in your office. Fire, fire, fire. The only thing that could not be able to replace is life. Your document, your iPhone 15, your Samsung Galaxy 37 point something million can be retrieved, but your life can never be retrieved. Once you discover there's a fire in its place, please, next thing you need to do, get out from that building and go to the assembly point. Your life is very, very important first, rather than all the valuable, the document or your international passport. Because if you got in there and you could not be able to come back, when you are trapped, everything has gone. To practice on escape plan, evacuation drill, the firefighter should be assisted because they are your helper. Give them all the relevant information concerning the building or the premises. Assuming there's a fire in the building, maybe you make use of the fire extinguisher. The fire is little or much. Once you are making use of the fire extinguisher, or you could not be able to control it, or it's under control, you still have the right to call fire service. Maybe the building is under insurance, or the property is under insurance. You need to call fire service, because they are the one that is going to write a report for you. Because an insurance company don't want to indemnify you. You understand? And if you don't call fire service and you want to collect your premium and you want them to indemnify you, they will ask you, where's your fire service report? Because they may think that you set the place ablaze yourself, so that you'll be able to get your claim from the insurance company. And if fire service come, we now ask a lot of questions. Then we'll ask, what time is the fire? What is this? What is this? And you are going to pay for the fire report. Because if fire service does not involve, there's no way you'll be able to get the fire. Then we'll be able to call it, maybe it is an arson, or there's no any evidence to prove there's a fire, because you should have called the fire service at the initial stage so that they'll be able to put it in their record. Next slide. Action to take in case of fire. Raise an alarm to attract the attention of others, not that Mugbe Egbami. Attack the fire if it is safe to do so with the appropriate extinguishing medium provided without taking any risk. Switch off unneeded electrical equipment, close window and door. If it is uncontrollable, evacuate the building. Do not panic, do not pull or push order. Go to the assembly point gently, quick. Remember ABBI. Watch above, behind, below, and inside when evacuating a building. Take a roll call. Call the fire service on the following telephone number. Call the fire service on the following telephone number. Alausa Fire Station, that's 0033 235891, 017280503, or 767 or 112. But the best thing is you call 080-332-325891. There's no way Alausa will not be able to get informed, because that is the main control room. Even though you have Alausa Fire Service number, you could be able to call for them in case of fire. Let's have this number in our phone. It's very, very important. And when we are given information, fire service are not oracle. Fire service could not be able to determine the place that the fire is burning unless you tell them. Let me use Orchid Hotel as a case study. Maybe there's a fire in there and you want to describe. Don't just say eleganza. You'll be able to see the fire. Give them the appropriate place, because they are no oracle that will be able to know that there's a specific place. Maybe it's number 13, Orchid Road. You can use Orchid Hotel as a case study that in front of Orchid Road, when you get to Eleganza bus stop, turn to the right, you'll be able to see it opposite Orchid Road or Mega 1 Road, or is along the Orchid Road, or is close to Lekki Conservation Center. You should be able to tell them the landmark of that area so that they'll be able to get to the scene of emergency at time. And when we are driving and we heard a siren of any emergency responder, maybe a fire alarm, an ambulance, or a fire truck, please, let's give them a little space. Let's give them a little chance. As I said so, safety is the act of being safe, protected from injury and disability. And I say fire safety is what? It's our responsibility. Fire safety is our responsibility to save people, to save life, to save who we know. All this little lecture that we are having, when we get home, we can be able to do what? Place it with the family. Get in touch with the children. We are getting the children now, they're on holidays, and we know how they behave during the holiday. They play a lot of things. When they know that Indomie is just 2 minutes to cook, and they saw their mom how to make use of the gas, and when they are hungry and there's no an house help, they can go there to cook themselves. During December 25, during January 4th, when some people are making Xmas, when some people are making New Year, there are some people, there's their house on fire. I went to an emergency on the 25th of December 2023, when everybody is enjoying. The man bought a banger for the 2 children and with the house help. The house help is in the kitchen, cooking, whereby these children are playing with the banger. Immediately they throw the banger, they heard the sound. The banger fell under the kitchen chair, the sofa, whereby they could not be able to control. The building raised down with nothing. On the 31st of January crossover night, when everybody is shouting, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Some people went to church shouting Happy New Year, and their house is on fire. Forget there's no place that the fire cannot catch. I've off a fire in a church, I've off a fire in a mosque, I've off a fire in a shrine. Yes, in Babalawo house. So forget about the religious. Religious is not about fire. You understand? I've put off a fire in Mashwari, Abati. Yes, grass on fire. You understand? And it's a cemetery. It's a cemetery in Notimo. You get this? So there's no place fire cannot happen. If an intruder come into this place, and I can just take some camera, take a little thing. But when you have your CCTV camera and you have your security, it will be very difficult for an intruder to get in. But fire will not tell you. When it comes, take life, take property, take building, take everything. How will you be able to recover? How will you be able to tackle all these things? That's why we need to be fire safety conscious in everything we are doing. It's not been easy to control. It's not been easy to undo it. But we can easily do what? We can easily prevent it, because it's not something that is very, very easy. It's only people that are very agile. It's only people that has confidence can tackle the fire and that can handle it. But if you have all the preventive measures that you'll be able to know, to contain, to reduce this thing, which will be very easy for you to control. I pray to God, none of us will be able to experience the sin of the fire. But have it in mind, the only thing that will happen in your building is fire. Most of us live in a security house whereby before I come into the estates now, they have my code, which I will not be able to have an access to come inside the estate. When fire coming in, will you have an access of code? No. The fire will just come inside and take everything. And don't let us be victim of fire. Thank you for listening. So coming to the assembly point, I said we need to do an head count so that we'll be able to know that nobody is being trapped in the building. And we do that departmentally so that the account department will be able to account. Maybe there's nobody is being trapped in the building, the HR, the marketing department, or every department we have in the building. We come to the assembly point. We look ourselves. Where is Mr. Lagbaja? Where is Mr. A or Mr. B? Once we know that everybody is completed, that means that we can easily ask the facilitator or the facility manager in the building, hope there's nobody is being trapped in the building. So in this situation, how are we going to make use of the fire extinguisher? I told us we are going to use an acronym, PASS. You pull and you press, you aim, you squeeze, and you spread. This is dry chemical powder. I told you it caused a lot of mess. And for the fire extinguisher to cause a mess, is rather to cause a mess rather than to what? To cause the building or to look the building to pull out on fire. So how are you going to make use of the fire extinguisher? I'm just going to use a little bit of it because I told you dry chemical powder causes a lot of mess and I don't want us to get mess. So I'm just going to make use a little bit out of the fire extinguisher. And so when there's a fire, how will you hold your fire extinguisher? You hold your fire extinguisher firm like this. Not that you hold it like this. You understand? You hold it like this. And when there's a fire, you don't put it in front of your ankle so that when you are running, it will not hit your leg. You place it by the side and you run. Get to the place you want to make use of the fire extinguisher before you remove the safety pin and the seal. You remove the seal and you remove the safety pin. Then you do what? That's what you call pass. You pull, you aim, you squeeze, and you spread. So I'm going to make use of it now. And I said when you discover a fire, you do what? You raise an alarm. Fire, fire. You remove the safety thing, you remove the thing, and you go what? You go to where the fire extinguisher is, and you trace the base. Just simple as ABC. You could see the powder that's trying to do what? Cause a lot of mess, you understand? And it's better to cause a mess rather than to look for the property to get burned. If you are making use of the CO2, now CO2 is a friendly, odorless gas, which you can use at any time. You know, if you open your Lacasera or your 7-Up, if you open it, it pops up. That's CO2 for you. Assuming nobody doesn't know that this is how the dry chemical powder make use of, and you want to use it and it sounds, some people may throw it away and leave it. But you know that when you're going to make use of fire extinguisher, it's going to sound. Then you are good to go to use it on anything you want to use it on to put off the fire. It's just like simple as ABC. The only thing you need to do is to be courageous, to have courage how to make use of this fire extinguisher. And if you know that you are not courageous to make use of it, and you know you will not be able to handle it, you better don't go there to make use of the fire extinguisher. That's just simple about it. I said fire service, I said fire safety is what? It's our responsibility. Fire safety is your responsibility to save your life, to save the property, to save the people you are living with, to save the people you are working with, to save your neighbor and to save your family. And I said fire is our friend. When it gets out of hand, it's turned to our enemy. But when you have what to use, you know what to do and how to use them at the appropriate time. The fire will have been put up before the arrival of fire service. And I will use this opportunity to say, always be fire safety conscious and enjoy the rest of your days. Thank you.